in all honesty, if you want to talk about what affects, the middle class more than anything, I always like when Gerald Celente talks about when all else fails, they take you to war. War is the biggest. If you need to, increase your GDP, if you need to, be able to offset a lot of money and loans, a war is great for that. You know what I mean? A war is almost in another sense a bailout for these lending institutions and banks,
Yeah.
So now we have that on the table too, and it seems like the economics of all this is fueling a lot of parts of what's happening geopolitically, I would say.
Like, we'll be able to survive it though this time, because for us it's going to be on multiple fronts. We have the thing dealing with Russia, and then now this whole thing with Taiwan and China,
Right, exactly.
and now possibly North Korea now too.
North and South Korea, yeah,
because North Korea recently, they were doing missile testing, firing missiles right over Japan, who were recently doing military training. I think outside of Taiwan with seas of Taiwan with the U.S. and I think one other country.
Right.
So I mean, like, is this something?
As each of these economies, because that's really what's happening to each one of these countries. Every country right now is starting to have economic failure for the most part, and that really, I think, will fuel what becomes like this next war. Because when countries start falling apart, it becomes a resources game, especially how interconnected we all are. And now will be the battle of resources. And when you have nothing, you will fight tooth and nail to keep what you have. So we are going to watch a lot of the international, the simple life that I think people have gotten used to, especially here in the States. It just will not be, it won't be the same going forward. It really won't.
What do you think is going to be the main priority? The chip front or the natural gas front?
I think natural gas for sure. Yeah. I mean, you can already see what kind of havoc that's wreaking on Europe right now. Really, because I think we all, because I love the environment and everything too, and I do believe we should do something about it. But we all forget how important natural gas and oil is to everything. Everything falls apart when you do not have that resource. Our entire civilization is built upon it. I understand that people have a goal to get off of it. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, but we cannot disacknowledge the fact that we have a net energy positive from oil and natural gas that powers so much of our lives that we have nothing to replace it right now with. And the lack of it would send us back to dark ages. Almost.
That's why it's important, because I'm not exactly against the whole green thing either. It's just that we have to be more realistic about it. We can't just be like, okay, no more oil, no more anything. Let's just go right to windmills and solar grids and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if we cut off oil and gas, how are we going to manufacture and produce all that stuff?
Like, how do you produce the solar panel if you don't have, like, I understand
how are you that you materials that you need for all that stuff.
It's like people don't think through the whole like process, because like energy really is one of the core things in life that gives us our modern lifestyle and quality of life. And when you start removing that, which we are seeing, like in Europe, people are now, I believe, was it the UK? People are living by candlelight now, essentially. Like think of how different of a like.
I think they're actually starting to burn like motor oil to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, that's, you start losing your energy source. You start losing the things that give you modern conveniences in life. We talk about deprecation of middle-class lifestyle and like the average person. I can't think of anything that will drop you down faster than the loss of oil and natural gas to your life. Like, goodbye everything that you're accustomed to.
The painful winter, like, I feel bad for the people in Europe because it gets super cold up there.
Super cold, yes. Absolutely. It's very terrifying to think about that, because that I mean, like, you take away some like heat during snowy, cold winters. And it doesn't matter how much money you have your bank account. It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive. You are now living in what is essentially object poverty. You know what I mean?
Well, if you have a lot of cash in your bank account, you can just burn it. That'll keep you.
That's kind of where it's going to be. I'm sure, I know there are people in 1920s Weimar Germany who would absolutely agree.
Might as well. I mean, if cash is just going to become useless, fucking might as well use it as fucking fuel for fire.
It's paper. Might as well burn it. You know what I mean? That's no,
more important to stay warm.
I mean, at the end of the day, like it's the value is determined based on supply and demand. If you're demanding heat, supply of dollars makes good kindling, and I don't care about what it can buy at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's really what I kind of think about. Like oil, I think for sure is going to be the main issue here, the main driver of the war that we're kind of starting to see and experience. It's going to be a massive resource clash. And I think a lot of people now, especially now that we all clearly can see that the supply chain is never going to be what it used to be again. Like it's never going to be what it once was. Yeah. And it's probably going to slowly deteriorate because it seems like geopolitical tensions are just getting worse and worse. Mm-hmm. I think that we're going to go back to a society of haves and have nots from this.
Well, I think actually we're kind of preparing for that because there are companies now who are trying to bring a lot of manufacturing back to the States, like people kind of do for decades now.
Right. Like, that will actually be
it was, but they're getting ready to open a production factory for producing computer chips and stuff like that.
Right. I believe that's supposed to be in Ohio. Yeah. I read about
a good start right there, to tell you the truth.
I think it's amazing. I think the problem right now is that with how broken our monetary system is right now, starting a manufacturing business right now, it's just the red tape around it. I can only imagine how difficult it would be to get off the ground moving like that. Mm-hmm. But in the systemic collapse that we are experiencing, this will give you the opportunity to be able to do things like that, manufacture here, create services that are needed here. It will be locally sourced for a lot of things. If anything, that could actually be a brand new resurgence of opportunity for younger people.